This is a short revision video for how to write an essay for our practice essay on The Other Foot by Ray Bradbury. So our essay question is describe an important idea in The Other Foot and explain how this idea was shown in the text and also what the reader could learn from it. So we have 3 parts of the question and you need to make sure you answer all of those parts. The first part is obviously asking us to describe an important idea in The Other Foot. Now an important idea is also known as a theme, and we've talked about themes in class. So remember, we talked about there being 2 main themes in The Other Foot that you can choose from in this essay. You will choose to either write about revenge and forgiveness, or you'll choose to write about the theme prejudice. The second part of the question asks us to explain how we learn about this theme in the story. How is that theme shown? And the way themes are shown in short stories and in novels are through the narrative elements. So by identifying some important narrative elements, we can explain how we learn about the theme of either revenge or prejudice. So what narrative elements has Ray Bradbury used in the short story to show us the theme revenge? Well, you might talk about plot, which is the story and the structure, or you might talk about characters. You might talk about setting, or symbols, or language. So you're only discussing one main narrative element each paragraph. So if you look at this example, narrative element 1 is talked about in the first paragraph, and that's plot. Then character is what they talk about in the second, and then they've chosen setting as their third one. So you need to pick 3 as well for your essay that you're going to focus on. Now remember our essay structure, the hamburger. We've got an introduction as our top bun, then all the meat, that's your body paragraphs, and that's where you talk about your narrative elements. And then you've got your bottom bun, which is your conclusion, how you sum everything up. The introduction should always include the title of the text, and make sure you underline that, and also the author. So in our case it's Ray Bradbury and The Other Foot. You're also going to introduce to us what you're going to say in the rest of your essay. So just take a minute to look at this example of an introduction. You can see that the title is underlined. You can see that they've said who the author is. And also you can see that they've told us the 3 main points, or the 3 narrative elements that they're going to talk about in each paragraph in order to show us how we learn about the theme. So we get all that information in the introduction, and they've also hinted at the lessons that they've learned through the story. Now on to body paragraphs. This is really important. This is the meat of your argument, the meat of your essay. We have 3 body paragraphs. Each body paragraph should be at least 7 sentences. And you want to give as much detail in your explanation and as many examples as you can. Now, you've heard of the peel structure? The peel structure tells you how to write your body paragraph. So point, well, you only make 1 main point per paragraph. So I might choose to talk about how I learn about revenge through the plot in my first paragraph. So the first thing I'm going to say is my point. I'm going to say that in the short story The Other Foot, one way that we learn about the theme of revenge is through plot. So I'm saying what my point is. Next I'm going to find an example in the text of this point. So with the plot, you're going to find some important events that teach us about revenge, and it's always good to include a quote from the text as well. And then explain that. You can't just give an example, but you need to explain to me why that example shows us about the theme. And then link it to what we can learn from it. Is there anything going on in the real world or in your life that links to this theme and links to the examples that you've given? So here's what maybe your first sentence of each of your paragraphs might look like if you choose these three elements. So just to have a look, we've got plot as our first paragraph, we've got character as our second, and we've got setting as our third. So that's just the start, and then you need to go into a lot of detail on that. You've got to use that peel structure for each of those paragraphs. So by the end of it, that's what your structure is, and that's what your essay should look like. Of course, we can't forget the conclusion. The conclusion sums up what we've talked about. You might want to use some words like this: to conclude, or in summary, or in conclusion, or finally. You want to summarize those 3 points again by linking them to the question. So to summarize, in The Other Foot by Ray Bradbury, we've learnt about the theme of revenge through different aspects of the story. We learnt about it through the plot in this way. We learnt about it through the character in this way. And we also learnt about it through the setting in this way. And then just leave us with something interesting. Leave us with something that we've learned about it. Remember to answer that last part of the question. What have we learned through this short story about the theme?